Good evening and welcome to day 4 of our 1 week C programming bootcamp. And I welcome you all to this session for our day 4. Okay, so till now we have seen a lot of basic things. Today we will be shifting gears because we will be learning a lot of important things. So starting with writing the assignment which I gave you yesterday, we have given 2 assignments. I don't know how many of you guys have tried it, so we can write answers for it. So once completing that, we will be moving into the next part with there are some left out operators which we have to see. We'll see that, and we have to see some things like conditional statements, then switch cases, then functions, and a lot more. Okay, so this session we will be covering a lot of new things which is new for you. So the most part will go for conditional statements, comparison operators, logical operators, switch case, and then writing a calculator program, and then going into functions. So in functions also we have different types. We'll see the base of functions in this session, and finally tomorrow's session we'll be having topics on for loop, while loop, do while loop, and we have to see about array concept and so on, so that finally on day 6 we could conclude with pointers, and then we're writing a program for ATM Simulator. So that will wind up our entire 1 week bootcamp. So starting with day 4 without wasting any time, good evening all, and then we'll start with day 4 of C programming. So I hope you have seen this in yesterday's session. I have concluded the previous class with this assignment for you. We are going to write a program for finding circumference of a circle. And also you can write a program for finding hypotenuse of a triangle. So these are 2 questions. So if you don't know about how to find a circle circumference, you could check the internet. Okay, so I haven't given specific details, so I don't know how many of you guys have tried it. So let me write the code for you guys. So let us beginningly start with hash include stdio.h. Okay, and then we are going to start with main function. Fine, we'll return 0. That's fine. So now what is this circumference of a circle? Okay, so if you have radius, for example, if you have radius of a circle, then you can find the circumference of a circle with a formula. Okay, and the formula is nothing but this is the formula. So if you want to find the circumference, the formula, the mathematical formula behind is 2 multiplied by pi multiplied by radius of that particular circle. This will give you the answer. So you know the value of pi, it's a constant, you could declare that. Okay, and for example, if the user enters a radius, what you have to do is you have to print the circumference of the circle. Okay, so what we will be doing, first we are going to combine all these things we have learned in the previous session. That's important because if you guys remember, we have learned about constants, we have learned about printf, we have seen about scanf, and we have seen about this mathematical operations in the previous session. So we could do this, right? So now we are telling this computer program in C to execute this task. So you have to give proper definitions for it. So let's start with giving, you know that we need to, that we can multiply it with a variable which is pi. It's a constant you could declare, and then you can multiply with radius. So what is this radius, we'll get later. So let me start with a constant. I'll declare a constant, and let us have a double pi, and the pi value is, I hope it's 3.14159. If you want to write precisely, you could go with double. You have the options of precisions, you could go and use that. Okay, so now this is a constant, no one can change it. Fine. So also I need to get the radius. I'll go with double radius. Okay, so the radius could be of any value, so I am not particularly limiting it to an integer, okay, or a float. So an advanced version of float is double, right? So you have multiple more precisions. So I'll go with radius, and finally I'll declare one double, which is going to be my answer, which I'll find, which is circumference. Later I'll tell it to the user. So now I have my pi value, I have a variable for radius, I need to find circumference, I need to apply in this formula. But how will I get the radius now? So radius I could directly declare. For example, if I want to find the radius, if I want to set the radius as 10, I could declare it. but I want to write a program for my user. So this is where you have to understand. So I want my user to enter the values. Every time this program is running, I want my user to enter the values. So what happens is, okay, we know that how to do it. Okay, you could use scanf, right? We have input output option. So I'll start with printf. Okay, enter the radius of a circle, and you know that. Okay, after this you can go with scanf, and we don't want fgets or any string properties here because we are just going to get double value here. So for double you have to mention the format specifier, which is long float, which is lf. And then if you guys remember, in previous session we have used scanf, where the scanf what it does is you want to pass the variable and its respective location in memory, and you can get it by ampersand symbol radius. Okay, so the value which is obtained from scanf is now passed into the radius variable. Okay, so now we have radius, now we have pi value, now you could have 2. So finally you could find the circumference of the circle. So that circumference will be equal to 2 multiplied by, we can pass the pi value multiplied by a radius value. So this will now gives me answer. So I want to display it to the user, so I'll go with printf. The circumference of the circle is, okay, and what I can do is I can pass the format specifier, which is going to be long float, okay, lf, and I have to pass the variable which is circumference, and the answer will be now printed to the user. So that's how this program works, and I hope we have write everything correctly. So we'll test it, starting with, yeah, I think I need to add the new lines and all. We'll check that. Enter the radius of a circle. So I'll go and pass 10 here. Okay, so we are getting some problem here. It is coming as 0 0 0 0, which is not correct. So there is some mistake which you want to find. We'll check it. This is double. This is 2 multiplied by pi multiplied by radius. Okay, circumference, format specifiers are correct. Yeah, we'll try to run this once again. Maybe some issue. So we'll start with enter the radius of a circle, 3. Once again it's 0.000. It seems like we are doing some mistake. And yeah, I have found the problem, and the problem here is we haven't mentioned the proper format specifier here. I have missed the modulus symbol, and that costed us that 0 0 result, because it may be entering a garbage value, and that's why we are not getting the proper result. Now if I try to pass it, for example, for 10, it is giving me the circumference of the circle. So I'll run it once again. If you want to have precise answers, you could mention the formats here. So for example, if the radius of my circle is 12 or 13, it is giving me the proper output. So that's how this program works. One small mistake we have done, which has costed us this problem. Okay, so apart from that, this now it looks great, it works fine. So that's how you could create a program for finding circumference of a circle. So now going into the next part, which is going to be program for finding hypotenuse of a triangle. Okay, so now we are going to write a program for finding hypotenuse of a triangle. So what is hypotenuse? You can check the internet. There are some properties of a triangle, right? You have 3 sides in a triangle, A, B and C. The longer side, they have some respective angle for denoting hypotenuse. There will be one side in a triangle which will be considered as a hypotenuse. Okay, so if you want to find that of a triangle, you have some formula for it. Okay, so if you apply that formula, you can do it. So the formula is square root of, you have to get your a square and b square value. You have c sides. Consider you have 3 sides in a triangle. One is a, another one is b, another one is the c. So we are going to find that c value, which is the hypotenuse of a triangle. So if you want to find that, you have the values of a and b. So you have to get the square of a plus square of b, and you have to take square root of all these things. That will give you the c value. So that's how we are going to find it. So we'll just write the program for this. I'll just clear the screen. I hope this program is clear. So we'll start with hash include stdio.h and int main function, let me call return 0. Fine. So I'll declare what all things we are going to do. We have a, b and c, and in that we are going to find the square root. Okay, so imagine a root symbol of, we need to take a square, a to the power 2. Okay, I'll ignore this. So we need to take a square, then b square, add those and then get square root of them. That sum of their square root, if you take it, you will be getting the c value. So for doing that, I'll declare a double, which is a, and double b and double c. Okay, so we'll ask the user to enter, okay, enter side a, okay, and then I'll go with scanf statement, and we are not supposed to do the same mistake of what I have done previously, so mention it properly. Fine. So I want to mention its location, so it's ampersand a, so that will lead to that place. So now a is stored. So going with b, printf enter side b, and I'll go with scanf and format specifier comma ampersand b. So now I have both a and b from the user. So what I am going to do is I'll calculate c, which is going to be, if you guys remember, we need to take the square and then root of it. So if you want to make square, what you can do is, as I told you earlier, we should calculate a square and then we need to add it with b square. So that can be done. But now I want to take square root of them. So how can I take square root? Anyone remember what library we used to use to get square root? We have seen it in previous session. We are just applying everything in this example. So what I'm going to do is I have to include this, which is called as hash include math.h is required here. Okay. So with math.h you have the option of sqrt. That is nothing but square root, and you are taking square root of this particular thing. A square plus b square and then square root, it gives a c, that's the hypotenuse of a triangle. So you could print to the user that the side b is, or sorry, side c is, you can specify the format specifier and then go with c value, and that will be your answer. So we'll test this and move into the next part. I hope this coding is clear about how we are applying things and trying to get from the user. So now it is asking me for side A, so I'll give it as 6, and side B I'll give it as 4, and this is the side C value. Okay, so that's how this program works. It will calculate and give you the result. I hope it's correct. 6 square, which is 36, 16, then add it and take square root, you get this answer. So that's what the program for finding hypotenuse of a triangle. I hope it's clear, guys. Is it clear? Is it clear about how we are finding the program, how we are writing the program for finding circle circumference and then also hypotenuse of a triangle? So if you are new to programming, this is how we used to write programs. Okay, we will be having some we'll be asking the computer to do some tasks, so you have to define it properly in a way. This is one of the basic things. You get some input from the user, you return some answer to the user. So that's how the problem works. Okay, and yeah, I hope it's clear from everyone. Can everyone post that is it okay or not in chat box? So clear about these two. So if it's fine, I should teach you about comparison operator, and we are going to jump into an important topic in today's class, which is going to be conditional statements, because they are the backbone of programming. They help you to create a lot of good and well-defined programs. Okay, so that's what we are going to do now. So first, before going into that, I want to teach you guys about what is this comparison operator. So we have seen some operator in previous session. Can anyone remember that? Post down the operators we have seen in previous session. We have seen about arithmetic operators, and we have seen about augmented assignment operator. So in arithmetic operator, we have done some mathematical operation, plus, minus, subtraction, division, multiplication. Then for example, we have seen the modulus for getting remainder, and then we have seen about increment and decrement, right? And then going into the next part where we have seen about, if you guys remember, I think it's, yeah, we have seen about augmented assignment operator. So what does that augmented assignment operator does? So instead of x equal to x plus 1, you can simply write x plus equal to 1. That defines that it adds its value and store on itself. Okay, it perform that particular operation and replace its own value. So that can be written shortly as x plus is equal to 1. So these are some operators we have seen in previous class. So now we are going to see another operator which is used in a lot of places. This gives you a lot of opportunity and a lot of additional steps for you. That is comparison operator. As the name itself suggesting, it is used to compare two things. Okay. So for example, comparison operators are used to compare two values or variables. It could be like variables means once again they store some values, you are going to compare it. This is important in programming because it helps us to find answers and make decisions. Okay, this is important because it helps us to find some answers and take decisions. And we have some operators on the right side. If you could check, I have some operators. This is what the operator for comparison is. If you want to compare, for example, when you go for comparison operator, you have two sides. One is left hand side, another one is right hand side. So you have two things. Okay. So consider you have a left hand side, you have some operation happening, or right hand side you have some operation happening. Okay. If, or for example, if you have a variable here on left side, you have a variable on right side, you have x on left side, y on right side. If you want to find whether both are equal, you could check with double equal to sign. That will give you, and the result here, the comparison operator gives a result or output which is Boolean, either true or false only. That's their output. You are just checking. Okay, if both are equal, it will give you true. If both are not equal, it will give you false. That's the output of this equal to. If you want to find two things are not equal, then you can mandatorily use this exclamatory mark and then equal to sign. So that will help you to find whether both are not equal or not. If both are not equal, then they return true. If both are equal, then they return false, because you are checking whether they are not equal or not. Then if you want to find between, for example, between 10 and 9, you want to find who is greater. For example, you are telling that 10 greater than 9. It's true, right? 10 is greater than 9, so it will return true. If the situation fails, it will return false. For example, if you go with this is less than operator. So you go with 10 less than 9. No, it's false, so you'll get false. Or sometimes you have 9, you are comparing 9 less than 9, you will get false because they are not they are equal, but they are not greater than or less than. So there in some places, if you want to check greater than or equal to, or less than or equal to, both situations you could go with greater than equal to and less than equal to. So I'll be doing this hands-on for you guys, and before that, okay, so we'll go into conditional statements, where conditional statements work with the help of comparison operators. Okay, so that's what we are going to see now, starting with conditional statement, where I'll be using these operators. Okay, and before that, if you want, I could also show you about this. 1 minute, I'll remove this. So for example, we'll try to get the answer printf. Okay, answer modulus d, we'll return an integer, comma 4 is equal to, or sorry, we could go with 4 greater than 5. So we'll try to see whether an answer is coming or not. The answer is 0 because it's false. You guys understand, this is an integer I am returning, the boolean it returns is false. So for example, I'll go with 40 greater than 5. The answer is 1 because it's true. So that's how you compare. So you go with 40 greater than 40, you get 0 now because it's false. They are equal. So if you want to check that, you have to go with 40 greater than or equal to 40. In such situation, it returns 1, which is true. Okay, so like that you can compare. So for example, I want to compare. Okay, either for example, we'll declare two variables here, int x, okay, int y. I think I can store some value which is 2. This is equal to 2. And I want to compare whether x and y are same or not. Okay, so I have to go with x double equal to y. So if they are same, it returns true. If they hold same value, yeah, I am getting true. So if I go with 20, okay, so if I check it now, I get false. The 0 is false because they are not equal. So now I could also check whether x is not equal to y. You know that they are not equal, so this should return answer as 1. So that's how your operators, comparison operators work. They compare and give you the answer, and you have those comparison operators. If this is clear about comparison operators, then you are ready to start with conditional statement. Can we start with conditional statement, guys? Push down either can we start or not in chat box. Waiting for your response. You could post some answers whether you are ready or not in chat box. Yes, fine. So we'll start with conditional statements. So what is this conditional statements are? So the execution of a statement depends upon the condition test. Okay, so we have some condition now. Okay, so when you run your program, instead of directly executing it, in some part you are creating some condition. So condition means there is some test going on, and if that test becomes true, okay, then if it's a true, then means it's a green signal, you can go and execute that. So that particular thing has been executed. Okay, that will display the result, that will be go through it. But what if the situation fails? Okay, then that is not executed. That's the idea behind conditional statement. And you have different types of conditional statement. Like you have different ornaments to it. So starting with if is the keyword for writing conditional statement. It is if is common in all programming language. Okay, starting from C to Python, everything you use, if you want to have conditional statement, it goes with if. So when you write if, near to that you have to write a condition. So that condition is the test you are going to perform. So if that test returns true, okay, then that program will be executing. For example, here I am having a if. So if you want to write a conditional statement, this is how the syntax for it will look like. Okay, if, okay, or else see here, yeah, I'll remove this. You will be having if, okay, near to that you will be having parenthesis where you will be writing your condition. This is where you will go with your condition. I don't know whether it's not possible, you can't write it anything here. You can write your conditions, and then you have to create a curly braces. So this curly brace, anything inside is called as the body of if. So you can have your particular statement here. For example, I'll write a condition here. So that condition is x greater than y, and you know that my x value is 20 and y value is 2, which means if you check this condition is going to return 1. 1 means true. Okay, so it prints this result, which is printf. Okay, or anything I can write. For example, I could have 10 line of code, or any operations can be performed here, no issues. Printf, okay, x is greater than y. Okay, so that's the condition I'm going to check. So let me run this. So the answer I am getting x is greater than y is because this condition has become true. For example, if the value of y is 200 now, this condition fails now because this will return 0. Then this if condition won't be executed because it's red signal. Okay, and then it can't execute it. See here, every time I run it, I am not getting any particular output, and the reason behind this is returning false. So here near this if you have true, the condition executes. Okay, it comes into the body of if, anything inside will be executed. If this becomes false, it just goes, it can't enter this block. Okay, so that's like a gate, it's a red signal, you can't go beyond that, and then you have to go inside of the next line. So the program executes from the start, right, line by line. It tries to go inside. If it's true, it executes this, come inside and execute, otherwise go to the next line. So now you can see some other topics which we have in if, which is called as if and else. So if the condition is true, we know that it goes into the body of if. Okay, otherwise we are just getting empty here because we don't have any other line. You have an option which is called as else. So this else, you can't directly write else, guys. Without if you try to write else, you will get error. Else can be returned as a additional property of if. You have an option called as else, and in else you won't be giving any condition, because if your if condition fails, then automatically it switches or it goes into the false statement and the false body is executed. Okay, so for example, in else you can have another statement which is executing. You can have it that will be executed. For example, I'll remove this and I'll go and declare integer age, which is going to be a value which is 19 for now. So you are searching if, okay, the condition age is greater than or equal to 18, then, okay, then particularly printf, I'll go with you are eligible for voting. So that's the condition I'm giving. So if the age is less, I want to execute another statement. We know that if the age is less than 18, he is not eligible. So what I can do is, in else, I can create a body and I could just enter you are not eligible for voting. So now this is a condition. So the program tries to execute, okay, the age is 19 has been declared and initialized here, fine. It goes into the next line, it is checking if, okay, if the value of age is greater than or equal to 18, if this is true, then the printf is executed. And see here guys, when you have if and else, okay, if, for example, in case of if executed, then else won't be executed. Okay, see here this diagram, any one can be executed, both cannot be executed at the same time. Please understand, both can't be executed at the same time. So what happens is either true happens or false happens. Okay, that's how the program works. Either true or particularly false will happen. Apart from that, you can't have both. If and else, they won't run at the same time. If this becomes false, it goes into else. If this becomes true, it executes here and then go to the next. Apart from that, else it comes to the next line of code. So let us try to run this. It is telling me that you are eligible for voting, and you can get user input also and try, no issues. For example, if the age is 9, okay, so it tells that you are not eligible for voting because this condition fails. I hope you understand how the conditional statement basically works. We have if and else, okay. Also we have additional options, so that's where other things comes. Can we see about it guys? Is it clear about what we have seen till now? Is it clear? Is it clear guys? So going into the next part, which is going to be, you have another option which is called as else if. Okay, so this else if, what it is, for example, initially you are checking a condition. Okay, if that is true, it goes into the body of if it is executed, fine, that's good. But if it fails, you can have a else. We know that we can have a else. So what if you want to check some other condition? If this is fails, I want to check some other thing. So if that fails, I want to check other thing. And if that fails, then only I want to go into else. If you have multiple things, then what you could do is you can use else if. Okay, after if you can have your else if. And what's the thing with or advantage with else if is, if you have one if, then you can create multiple else if conditions. Inside between if and else, you can have 10 else if or 20 else if, that's up to you. That won't be a efficient program anyway. I'm telling that you can have, I'm telling you, okay, it can be, it is possible. So for example, I'll just remove this. Okay, I'll go with integer time equal to 22. Okay, it's a railway time, consider. So if, okay, I need to create a condition, time is less than 10, which is in the morning. So I'll just print a statement to the user that good morning. Okay, that's fine. So now instead of else, I need to have another condition. I want to check whether it's between other time. Okay, so if this is failed, okay, so what it is going to do is it goes into the next part where I can create, okay, else if, another if. This is a else if. So I am checking time is less than 20, okay, and I am having a body for it. So in else if, you have to give another condition. If that condition becomes true, then what it does is it goes into this part, which is good day. It's a day time. Okay, and you can have another else if you want. If you want it, for example, it is less than, okay, this 20 will change it into something like evening 4 or 6. That's around 18 or 16. Let us have it as good day. Okay, so if the time is less than 20, in that time I'll go and execute to the user that printf, okay, good evening. Okay, here I have missed the colon, semicolon here, that's fine. So finally I am having else statement, which is nothing but anything beyond this is going to be good night. In the night it is good night. Okay, so that's how this condition works. You have your time here. Okay, so let me run this. It is telling me good night because the time is 22, and for example if the time is 7, it is in the morning, it is going to be good morning. And if it is 17, okay, I hope it is good evening. Fine, so that works, right? So it goes into any of these things. And also, okay, for example, you can have this is less than, you can have less than or equal to, greater than or equal to, that's fine. And the order is important. Okay, for example, if my time is 7, let us consider it 7 a.m. in the morning. If I execute this, it is telling me good morning. That's good. But what if, okay, this order of your statement you are having, that is correct here. So what if I check this statement first, okay, less than 16. Sorry, we'll go and change it into less than 16. So if it's less than 16, I am checking it's good day. Okay. And else if I am checking less than 10 and I am telling that good morning, so this statements fail separately. Okay, for example, what happens is if I run this, okay, we are getting good day, but it's a morning time, we need to get good morning, because it starts from the if and then goes into the next condition. Only if fails, it comes into the else if. Only if this else fails, it comes into this part. Okay, so here what happens is time, it is less than 16 only, right? So logically it's correct, but your logic you have written is wrong. So that's what happens. You have to just give it in the correct order so that everything works fine. So now it works smoothly, properly, with correct time and correct thing. So only this fails, it goes into the next part. Only this fails, it goes into the next part, and so on. So that's how the order or hierarchy should be. So you have to be proper in that. And for example, if you want to create multiple if statements like this, you can. So that's what conditional statement is, and that leads us to the next part, which is called a switch case. Okay, switch case is a new type. For example, in Python and all, we don't have switch cases. In some other language, we have switch case. So what is the switch case? How to execute this? I'll tell you guys. Can we start with switch case? Can we start with switch case, guys? Yes? 1 minute. Yeah. So what happens in switch cases? We know that we can write many if, else, elif statements. Okay. So what happens is, instead of you writing many if and else statements, that technically when you write your code, it should be precise and short, and it shouldn't be consuming a lot of space. Okay, and the time constraints and all, when you go and become a developer, you have these criteria. So the code you write should be precise and proper, and it shouldn't take proper like lot of space. It should be precise. Okay, so instead of writing many if and else statements, you can use the switch statement, which is considered efficient. Okay, efficiency is important. So the switch statement selects one of many code blocks to be executed. So here you can give many blocks and one will be selected. So in C, the switch case statement is used for executing one condition from multiple conditions. It's like a similar to an if-else ladder. Consider this as a ladder, and they tell that compared with if, elif and else, like that, if you are creating, apart from that, switch case is efficient. Like that, here I have, for example, the user enters what day it is, either 1 to 7, and you have to find whether it is Monday or Tuesday or Wednesday or Thursday or Friday or Saturday or Sunday. So if you write it in if and elif, you know that you will create a if statement for 1 for Monday, and then for 2 for Tuesday. You could check with double equal to sign, and you will be checking that. So instead of that, you could go with switch case. So in switch case, what's the property is, you have to create switch, okay, and then near to that you want to pass the parameter you will be using later on, which is day. You want to check the day, and you have to start a curly brace and then give what case it is. For example, case, if it's 1, print Monday. And you could see that after every case I am having this break option. So what this break tells us, the statement should be like, for example, it should be terminated. Break means it's like applying a break. It will be terminated from the switch. the program ends. If you don't have break, what happens is check the case 1, okay, and then it goes into the case 2, it goes into the case 3, it will create like a loop. Okay, if it's printed, you don't want to check the other cases, you have to break it properly, so you have to enter break. So any of this, for example, if it's day 4, it prints Thursday, breaking out of it. And you can also have a default. What if nothing matches here? You can have a default, it's like else, right? So you can default, you could print anything else. Here you don't want to give anything like break statement, that's not necessary. So that's what the property of switch case is. So we'll try to recreate this in program. Okay, so I'll just have int day. Okay, I'll set it as 6, and let me start with the switch statement, switch case, and see here you have to, this is automatically suggested from VS Code, it's just pasting without my knowledge, and it's giving me that I have to pass my expression, which is going to be day. Okay, and what's the case I have to give? For example, if it's a case 1, printf Monday, right? It may take some time, please bear with me. So for example, I could create multiple cases like this. So if it's case 2, then printf Tuesday, okay, and then if it's case 3, then printf Wednesday, okay, and then case 4. And you guys remember, I have to add break, I have forgot that. Okay, add a break. So printf, I hope it's clear what all we have seen till now. We are seeing some intermediate topics in this session. Thursday, today is Thursday, right? Then case 5, which is going to be printf Friday, and then finally case 6, which is going to be printf Saturday. I'll add the break statement, guys. Thank you for denoting. I'll add break statement. So the case 7 here is going to be printf Sunday, okay, and then finally we have a default. I could add anything if I want. I can go with, yeah, it seems like we need to add a break here also, fine. So printf, since it's in the last, you don't want to necessarily add break, or it's optional, go properly with break. It's a fine day, okay, just to tell the user. So yeah, we'll try to run this. Saturday, Sunday, it's a fine day. You guys see what happens here. So when I go without break, okay, without adding break, the case 6 has been true, so it's printing that it's Saturday, and then Sunday, and it's also executing that it's a fine day. So that is not required, so I need to just add the break statements in between. So if you go without break, this is what happens. Okay, so for example, if the Friday is true, then it may execute other statements also. So now if I run this, I should get, it's a Saturday because 6 has been executed. If it's 1, it's Monday. Okay, so that's how our switch cases work. And is it clear about this switch case? You can have the cases like this and it will be executing properly. So if this is clear, I'll be giving you assignment for homework. For the next session, we'll be having answers for this. You have to write a calculator program, okay, using if and switch case. So how to write it, I'll tell you some features for you. So for example, at the beginning, you have to get an integer from the user. Okay, 2 integers, one is x, another one is y. From the user, you have to get it. Okay. So once you got the integer, what you have to do is you have to ask the user to enter another thing which is called as what operation he need to perform. It is a character, and you can ask the user to enter plus, minus, or subtraction or division, the symbol. You could use a character and get it. So once we have the character, what we are going to do is we are going to you have to verify. So for example, if he asks for plus, you have to print the addition and then give the result. Okay, and if he selected subtraction, you have to properly give subtraction answer between that x and y, or the two values you got from the user. And then if he asks for multiplication, give multiplication answer, and if it's division, you have to go with division answer. So you can use operator variable get from user and then compare, either use conditional statement or you could go with switch case. Both are fine. Switch case will be better. Please try to do it with that. Okay. So yeah, that's it about this, and this will be a homework. If you guys can, you could try what all you have learned now. With this in this session, you could add this here and try to execute this. If you can't, please wait for the next session. Tomorrow we'll see the answer for this. So finally, going into one part which is logical operators, we'll see it now, and functions we'll try to have it now. If not possible, if the time doesn't permit, we'll go with functions in the next session. Okay, functions are important. We may take another session for it too. No issues. Fine. So starting with logical operators. So we have seen a lot of operators: arithmetic operator, assignment operator, augmented assignment operator, comparison operator today. So final operator we are going to see is logical operator. Logic gates. Do you guys remember that? So we have some logical operators called as and, or, and not in C. In all programming language we have this. It's really important. So the logical operator evaluate the logical expression and return a result. Okay. So they return a Boolean value once again. So the Boolean value determines whether the expression is true or false. Okay. For example, this is for comparison also once again, or to evaluate two things. So for example, I have x and y. Okay. So x could be it could be a condition. For example, 4 is less than 3 or 4 is less than 5. So you have a condition in x. You have another condition is y. Okay. In y you can have like 10 is greater than 20 or something like that. So you have two conditions. Okay. So if you go with the OR operator, so the property of OR operator is, I'll tell you first and tell you how to execute it in C. You first understand how OR operator works. A OR operator works in either if x or y, any one is true, the output will be true for you. See here, if x is true and y is true, obviously output is true. If x is true but y became false, still the output becomes true, because that's OR operator. Any one of these should be true. That's it. Here the x became false and y is true now, so it has one true, so it goes and gives you an answer which is true. And then finally I have a situation where both fails. Okay, in such situation I can go with false, because for OR operator any one should be true. If both are false, obviously the answer is false. And then comes AND operator. So AND operator is a strict guy. Okay, both should be true. Only when both are true, the output will be true. Okay, if one became false, okay, he won't allow it to execute, so the output will become false. Only when both are true, the output is true. Apart from that, one true and one false and one true, or both are false, the output is false for you. Okay, so for example, you are building a application where you want to get the username and password. Okay, so you are getting it and you are verifying it with the original username and password. In such situation, you want to allow the user, if they are correct, you want to allow the user to enter and use the application. If it fails, you have to ask him to re-enter. So in such situation, which operator do you use, guys? You use OR operator or AND operator. You want to verify his username and password. So what will be you using? If you use OR operator, what happens? Either if username is correct or password is correct, you ask the user to enter the application. Will you do it? No. In such situations, you will use AND operator. Both username and password should be correct. If both are true, then only you can allow the user to enter. In such situations, you will use AND operator. That's how the logical operator helps you in a lot of places in programming and in conditional statements. And finally, we have NOT operator. And this NOT operator is nothing but, it gives you the reverse. Okay, so if you go with true, he'll give you false. If you go with false, he'll just replace it with true. He is just reverse case. Okay, see here, see the table, you will get the answer for AND operator, OR operator, and NOT operator. Clear? So let us write some, for example, and see how to achieve this OR operator or AND operator or NOT operator. For AND operator is double ampersand symbol. So that will be AND operator. You have to give a left side and right side like this. Okay, expressions. And then you have logical OR operator. So for that you have to go with double bar symbol like this, and not operator is your exclamatory mark. It will be the reverse case. Okay, so can we start with that? I'll just remove these things. So let me write the code for you guys. So yeah, so for example, I'll go with integer a equal to 5, okay, and integer b equal to 10. So I'm going to create a condition if, okay, a is greater than 0. Okay, I'll use AND operator here, guys. This is how you use AND operator. So we are checking a is greater than 0, that's true, and b is greater than 0. So I'm checking two conditions. Okay, so if those two conditions are true, printf both a and b are greater than 0. Okay, so that's the output I'll get, and I have else statement here. Okay, so else printf at least one of a or b is not greater than 0. So this is the situation. I'll run this. It tells me that both a and b are greater than 0 because they both are greater than 0. So if I have it like -4, this becomes false and this becomes true, and we know that this is an AND operator, so it won't be executing. Okay, at least one is false. Okay, so like that, if you have OR operator here, okay, what happens is this becomes false and this becomes true. So what happens is try to execute the statement. I'll save it and run once again. Both a and b are greater than 0, it's telling, because it's coming into this condition because it becomes true, because this is OR operator. Even if one fails, other executes. If both are fails here like this with minus symbol, okay, both condition now become false, so this won't be executing. Okay, save it and run it again. Okay, so it goes into this part else because this both has been failed. Finally, you have not operator. Okay, so not 1, which is going to be, or yeah, we could check that. 1 means true, not 1 means not true, means it is going to be false, right? Okay, it is going into else because this is the reverse case. Or if for example 0, we know that if it's 0, here if it's 0, which means it's false, this if won't be executing. Instead of checking the condition, you are directly giving the boolean here. You can do that too. Okay, it is going into the else and printing the result, guys, because this is 0. If you have 1 here, you get both a and b are greater than 0 because this is true statement directly going into true. If you have booleans, bool.h, you could pass the true directly, that will also run. Apart from that, for example, reverse case, okay, a greater than 0, okay, so for example a greater than 0 false, but this is a reverse case, so it becomes true and this will be executed now. Okay, so it's executing since it becomes true, so it is executing. So in such cases, okay, so sorry, yeah, that's how this statement will be going, and that's it about logical operators. Is it clear, guys, about logical operators? And we still have functions left. I hope we can see about functions comfortably in the next session, since we have dealt with a lot of details in this session. Okay, so just a recap of what we have seen in this session. We have seen a program for finding circle circumference. We have seen a program for finding hypotenuse of a triangle. We have seen comparison operators. We have seen conditional statements. We have seen if else, if, elif and else. We have seen switch case, and we have seen its assignment for you, a calculator program using if and switch case. We have seen about logical operators and OR operator, AND operator and NOT operator, and how they are working. Functions and all we'll see in next session. Okay, we'll see in next session. Thank you. Thanks for watching. We'll see on day 5. We still have 2 days left. We'll try to cover all the topics which we have planned for.